watch us. Are you taping?
No, just turn it on. You want me to turn it off?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Good.
Are you just so excited we have our writing done?
Yeah.
Me too. Okay, we're on the last part of the King's Equal. So we ended our last time by discovering that Rosamond sent Prince Raphael to live with the 3 goats in the pasture near the mountain. Do you remember we talked about a pasture and in the mountain?
Yeah.
We know she told him to live there for 1 full year and return with all 3 goats alive and well, which is probably really hard for him to do. And I noticed that she never mentioned anything about her friend the wolf. But I'm sure Rosamond believes that Prince Raphael is going to find out about the wolf when he gets there. So today we're going to finish chapters 5 and 6 and discover what happens to Prince Raphael in the woods. Does he return with the 3 goats at the end of the year or not? And what does Rosamond do for the year that Prince Raphael is gone? And what does Rosamond think of Prince Raphael when and if he returns to the castle are the big things that we're going to look at. Predictions? Grayson? What do you think?
I was thinking that if he goes out, that he'll meet the wolf, and that the wolf will be nice to him.
Why do you think the wolf will be nice to him?
Because the wolf is really nice and caring. Just because he's mean to him, and he won't be nice.
So you think the wolf's going to be nice to him even if Prince Raphael is mean?
Yeah.
Abby?
Well, I predict that the wolf is tending to hurt the goat so he can actually help.
Ah, so you're looking at this picture here.
And how there's 3 goats in the middle of this one, and so he's saying the big thing and how he's actually hurting it.
I was just thinking because you said that I was thinking of how the wolf did the same thing to Rosamond.
Yeah.
Were you thinking?
Yeah.
I was thinking that too. Hallie?
My prediction, I think that the wolf might attack the prince and not get to food like he did.
Good. All right, so we're going to read chapters 5 and 6 to ourselves, and I'm going to ask some of you to read to me. Normally you wouldn't read very loud, but because we have our camera, we want to kind of be able to hear what we're saying. So let's try and read a little bit louder as we go, okay? And hopefully we can hear each other. Grayson, do you have a question?
I was wondering for chapter 4.
You found a word that you didn't know.
Yeah.
On page 37. She's on page 37. Grayson, why don't you read the sentence that it's in?
The prince looked at her and
Well, what do we know about this word? We know it's a big word, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know if it's a really big word, what are we probably going to have to do to help read it? We're going to have to break it apart and sound it out, right?
Yeah.
We can't just like blur over it. We're going to have to really break it apart. We talked about this with other words the other day, like the word frolic. We could sound that out, but we didn't know what it meant. But what was the other word that we couldn't sound out, but we knew? Anxious. Okay, so is this a word that we're going to be able to sound out and then we'll know what it means? Or is it one that would be hard to sound out? Let's look at it. Do you see smaller words inside of this word? What do you see, Hallie?
I see,
On. Good. Abby, what do you see?
I see on meant.
Good.
Is
And M-E-N-T at the end meant, what did you think it is then, Grayson? I heard you say it.
astonish.
Look at it. Look at the word.
Astonishment.
Say it again. Say it again.
Astonishment.
What is it, Hallie?
Astonishment.
Look at the word, Grayson. Astonishment. Astonishment. Can we sound this word out? Are there any tricky patterns in here that we don't know? We can sound this word out. It's just a big word.
Yeah, I heard
So,
that word before.
have you heard the word astonishment before? Do you know what it means? So our problem with this word wasn't that we didn't know it, it was that it was so big that we really had to take the time to sound it out, right?
Yes.
And once we sound it out, then we can know it. Now read the sentence, Grayson.
The prince looked at her in astonishment.
There you go. The prince looked at her in astonishment. Does that make sense with what you know astonishment means?
Yep.
Okay, astonishment. Show me what it looks like if you're astonished on your face. What would it look like? What is another word for astonishment?
Surprise.
Surprise. So what would it look like on your face? I would be like, right? Okay, so now you know what the words like that, Grayson?
Yeah.
You really have to take the time to break them apart. Let's read. Are you ready to read?
Well, I had something with Grayson. Sometimes when you look at it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's big, and then it's like you don't want to like find out, and then you're like,
And when you're reading in your head, sometimes you want to just move on because you don't have to read it for anybody, so it really doesn't. Sometimes people think it really doesn't matter, but it does because it's important to the story, right?
If you don't know what it means, then you really don't get what
Yeah,
what it's
exactly.
talking about.
Yep. Let's move on and let's read. Starting on page 43, read to yourself, and I'm going to listen to Grayson read first when you two are reading to yourselves. Okay, Grayson, let's read this page.
Rosamond hardly let Raphael out of sight before she went to work. She put aside her circlet
Good.
of gold, rolled up her sleeves, and set about undoing all the evil that Raphael had managed to do in his short behind.
Now that is one of those words that has tricky spelling, and that means reign. The word is in his short reign. And when you're a king or you're a queen, when you reign, that means you're like in control.
Yeah.
So that one you can't really sound out, can you? Okay, so in his short reign, keep going.
The realm
The realm.
had never known such a cheerful introduction.
Let's look now. Remember, this is a big word. So we know in. What's that word?
Dust.
In dust, that's another word.
Industrious.
There you go now. How did you solve that word? What did you do?
I broke it up.
Okay, so instead of just looking at the beginning and hoping the rest works,
Industrious.
there you go.
And kind ruler. It was a year of good weather and bountiful crops.
There's a T there.
Bountiful
crops.
Bountiful crops. The children returned to school, and everyone had plenty and to share. In the
Hold
meantime,
on, I want you to look at that last sentence again.
and to spare.
There you go. So when we get to a word that maybe it doesn't make sense in the story, we have to look at it again and see what we goofed up on, because that one little letter there, it makes it a different word. Turn back one page for a second. You figured out this word right here.
Yeah.
Circlet. How did you figure that out?
I broke it up.
You did, because when you were reading, you kind of said circle, and then gold, and then went back. So what made you go back?
Because it didn't make sense, because circle is spelled C-I-R-C-L-E, not with a T in the end.
So you saw the T and thought, well, that can't be right.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I'll let you read to yourself, and then I'll listen to Abby.
Okay.
All right, Abby, where are you? Okay, go ahead and read.
suddenly he heard a shriek from the snowy past.
Good.
It sounded as though a creature was being killed by another. Ralph was terrified.
What's his name?
Or
It's not Ralph, it's Raphael.
Raphael
Mm-hmm.
was terrified. So was some furious beasts to
Okay, I have that word highlighted. It's not furious, it's a tough one. It means something like furious, but there's an O. Do you know what the C-I-O-U-S sounds like? That's like one furrow. Say it. Yes, that's a weird word, isn't it? So start right there.
Suppose some ferocious beasts were to attack him on his forsaken
On where?
forsaken
On where?
on this forsaken mountain.
Okay.
No one would hear his cries for help.
Good. Fixing that word.
He cursed Thrall's mom for sending him to this wild place. Then he remembered that
Go
he
back.
must,
Go back and read each word the way they're written.
but then remembering
Good.
that he must bring back all 3 goats alive and well to the place at the end of the year. He grabbed his staff and rushed out to the staff.
Look at it. Out.
Of the staff.
What is that word?
Staff.
Okay. So when you're reading, make sure you look at every little word. So what's he doing right now?
He's going to help it and see if you know,
Who's he? I should have asked you. What's Raphael doing right now?
He's actually helping right now because he remembered he has to bring all the goats back alive.
So he probably really doesn't want to help them, does he, at this point? But he's helping them because
So we can get back.
so they can get back. Good. I'm gonna let you keep reading for yourself. Good job. All right, Hallie, you're fine. Where are you? Page. Bottom of 47?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Start, well, just right here.
Rosamund never mentioned you to me, said Raphael quickly.
Good.
No, said the wolf. She wouldn't have. He turned to the goat. Now, that was foolish.
Look carefully. Now that,
The foolish
oh, you have it like highlighted. Knave.
knave is out of the shaft.
Who is that he's talking about?
Prince.
Yes. So, do you think this is a nice word that they used in this time to say something about somebody, or that it was a mean thing to say about somebody? Why would it be a mean thing, you think? How do you know that it was a mean thing?
Because it's like has foolish.
It has foolish behind it, and the wolf wasn't very happy about him.
Yeah.
Ethan and Jack. Thank you. Okay, keep reading.
That the foolish knave is out of the shaft, he said. Let's go inside and see if he's left us anything to eat. The wolf followed the goats inside and shut the door. At first, Raphael was too proud to knock at the door and beg the animals forgiveness. As day turned into night and the wind came up and howled across the mountain pasture, Raphael could no longer afford pride. He had to humble himself or freeze to death.
So what's his problem now? What?
That they don't like him and they won't let him into the house or the pasture.
And why is that a problem for him? Because Raphael.
He's a prince,
Well, that could be a problem.
and he probably doesn't want to freeze.
Do you think the weather is very cold?
Heavily.
And what happens if you're in cold weather? And you're outside? What will happen to him, do you think? Yeah, if he doesn't end up back in the cabin in the winter time, he probably wouldn't last through the night.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have to ask for forgiveness, isn't he? If he wants to survive. Keep reading and see what happens to yourself. Abby, where are you? Move your hand once I can see what page you're on. Okay, keep reading right there for me.
I'm sorry.
Wherever you are.
I'm sorry. Raphael said, I don't know how to make a fire or even slower
Let's see if that makes sense. Green flowered.
Green.
What I do with vowels, I think, if the short vowel sound doesn't sound like a word I know, I'm gonna use it in a long vowel sound and see if it's a word I know. So grind flour doesn't work, but try it with a long vowel. Grind flour. Does that work? Okay, so when you get to a word and the short vowel sound doesn't sound like a word, try using it in a long vowel and see if it's a word. Okay? So start right here.
I don't know how to make a fire or grind flour or bake bread.
Good.
Oh, well, never mind, said the wolf. Just do what
Good.
I tell you, and we'll manage.
Good. We just think about the words.
That is how things went for Raphael.
Good.
The wolf taught him all the things Rosamond had known how to do. Make a fire, to grind flour, to bake bread. And when spring and summer came to get together
What is that word?
to get
So try it. Both.
together
Try the A in a long sound and in a short sound and see which one works.
clover,
To what? What's a short A say?
or a
A short A sound. Do you know what a short A sound is? What is it?
where the A for
What is it? What sound does that make? The short A makes an ah. Abby, look at my mouth. Look at my mouth. Ah. Okay, like cat. So, gather. Would that be a word that you know? Okay. To gather.
boots and berries and wild and to dry grass from as the months went by, Raphael skinned bird and his hands grew
Callus.
callous. His fancy thoughts were in
There's that short A again.
tatters,
Say it again.
tatters,
Yes, his clothes were in tatters. That means they were torn up.
tatters, and
Mischievous.
bird stole his wheat before a nest.
Good. Finish this up.
And young goats
Look.
the young goats taught him how to dance and around to dance, how to dance and around the fire. At night, the wolf taught him all the songs that Rosalind used to sing and told him tales of it.
Look at this one. Of ancient.
ancient times.
Good. Keep reading to yourself. Good job, Abby. Grayson, how are you?
Take 56.
Read where you are. Or why don't you know what? Why don't you start right here?
That very night, Raphael and Rosamond were married and crowned king and queen, and all in the land lived happily together for many, many years. But every winter, just at the turning of the year, the king and queen and their children after them went up into the far mountains, where it was said that they visit an old friend.
Good. I want you to look at that page again, because I want to show you something. Look right here is the beginning of this sentence, and this sentence, notice how long this sentence is. Look at that.
It's long, but it has a lot of commas.
How many commas? Count them in your head. sentence has 5 commas. That is a very long sentence. Do you think a sentence can have that many commas? Yeah. It's hard to write a sentence with that many commas and have it make sense and the reader be able to understand all that. Read it again for me and see, when you read, pay careful attention to the commas and making pauses by the commas, okay?
But every winter, just at the turning of the year, the king and queen and their children after them went up into the far mountains, where it was said that they visit an ocean.
Yeah. It makes sense, doesn't it? It's, you have to really look at the commas though, because it wouldn't make much sense if you didn't have the commas there.
Right.
Yeah, those are very important. Okay, so why don't you just read the last couple pages again while we're waiting for Abby
So
and Hallie.
this page is
Sure. And be thinking about how Raphael has changed while you're reading.
Yep.
You guys both finished at the same time. Okay, does he return with the 3 goats?
Yes.
He does. And what is Rosamund doing while he's in the mountains and everything? Hallie?
Turning the reel around and
The realm, which is in their time, that's the name of their country. What they named, what they call where they rule. She was turning it around. What did she do?
she like made sure like everybody had enough to like survive and to share with people.
And she sent the kids back to school. And then people had more than enough animals and things. Why do you think she did all that? What do you think she was thinking? Abby, why do you think she did all that?
So like, because he knew that he was wrong taking away their school time for them.
Mm-hmm. Grayson, what were you going to say about Rosamund and why she did that?
I was going to say, I had answers from her prediction, and also that I think Rosamund did that because she was thinking of her father, and she wanted to make sure that he had enough money and food to go around. Because if she didn't do that, and Raphael didn't learn a lesson, he'd take away from her father and everyone else more.
That's an interesting point about her father. She probably was definitely thinking about him. McKenna, thank you. She was probably definitely thinking about her father. And maybe because she had a poor life, she had sympathy for those people. Hallie? What were you going to say?
Answers from my predictions.
Okay.
And I think that the looking at that brings enough people food. No, actually, he did, and I thought that Raphael will not last a year, but he did.
Yeah, you were wrong on that one. Let's talk about the wolf for a minute. What do you think about the wolf? Hallie, what do you think about the wolf?
I think that he was trying to be nice to Raphael, to say like, if you take back his goats alive, you will have.
Do you think the wolf knew all along about Raphael and that he was coming and all that?
Yeah.
What makes you think, Abby, that he knew that?
well, the sheep or the goats, and how maybe those or how those one. Oh, but like how they so how those well it
Did you forget what you were going to say?
yeah.
That's okay. Hallie.
Maybe because she left the goats there, and maybe he didn't know and thought Rosamund was gonna come back, but
I think the wolf is like really wise. You know what wise means? Like really smart. And he kind of knew that Prince Raphael had to come there so he could change, because he needed to change, didn't he?
yeah.
He was really out of control. I mean, he was so mean and everything. He really needed to change. So even though it was really hard for him to go through that year, when he came out of that, it was worth it, because what happened then, Grayson, when he came back?
That he changed a lot, and I'm sure if he didn't change, they wouldn't have gotten married, and he wouldn't have never went back to the wolf, and Rosamund would be poor and a father and everyone.
And everyone else in the realm. Did you enjoy this book? What do you think makes people like this book? What do you think makes people like this book? Grayson?
It's interesting, and it teaches you a very valuable lesson.
Can you tell me more about that lesson?
Like, if you're like Raphael, you should just think about if you would be treated that way, and how would you like it, and then you would maybe change. But for some people, they don't care, and sometimes they don't change. But it's trying to say, be caring and not be selfish, because it just leads you into a bad position.
Hallie?
I think that this book, like kind of tells, don't, if you really want something, you have to like, be nice to other people, not be mean and take away their money.
That's not how you're going to get happy, is it?
Yeah.
Good point.
So you need to earn it.
Evie, why do
sort
people
of
like it, you think?
because it's like it gives a lesson, like Jason said, and it sort of teaches you not to be selfish and not to be greedy, not to want everything for yourself.
Good point. Grayson, what were you going to say?
I share my answers to my thoughts.
Really quickly, you can.
I was right about the wolf, because he would be. I said he would be nice, and he was nice. But wrong about the food. They didn't have food. And then I didn't read it carefully, and when I put in Raphael, then not throughout the goats. But then when I read it again, I realized that he did throughout the goats, and he got through out.
Yeah, so we've been working on making predictions in class a lot, and we've been working on making connections as well. And this book has a totally different culture than what we're in. This is from kings and queens and princes and princesses, and they live in a realm, and they have a pasture, and we don't have all that stuff, do we?
No.
So how could we connect, like, our culture that we have now with this book? Could you connect it in any way? Evie, what were you going to say?
Kinda and not really, because here we don't have kings and queens, princes and princesses. But the lesson you can learn if you read it, and you could be doing that and you don't even know it.
The lesson you learn is the same, right? That people can change. People who are mean, they can change, can't they? They have to, I think, just really understand other people's point of views instead of being so selfish, I think maybe? Greedy would be another good word. So we could connect the people around us now in a totally different culture than this book is in. Because some of the way these people act is the same way
People here act.
that sometimes people here act. Yeah. Prince Raphael was acting in a way that we probably know other people have acted and that we know of, haven't we? Grayson.
When there is a guy on American Idol that was arrogant, like he was, and there was this guy that was a little different, and they were friends, and he got kicked off. And then I think that Danny, the guy that was arrogant, learned his lesson that if you're too arrogant, it doesn't lead you good.
Yeah. Good point. Good connection. Hallie.
I had 2 words.
You had 2 words. What page?
50.
50. What are they?
Call juice.
Calloused. Yeah. What was your other one? Mischievous?
I think.
Yeah. Have you heard of the word mischievous? Mischievous?
I've heard it.
Yeah.
Mischief.
Yeah.
Those are all the same word, just different, used in different parts of the sentence. Means that you are up to something. And calloused hands are hands that are, if you're a gymnast and you monkey bars, you get those bumps, that's what calloused hands are. But what about, let's talk about some, just like one more connection. Do you have a connection? Abby.
Well, it's sort of here in this book. It's like treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah, exactly. Treat people how you want to be treated, and then you'll be happier. Grayson, what did you want to say?
I wanted to say, can we read The Whipping Boy?
The Whipping Boy, that would be a fun one to read because they're very similar in their time and settings, aren't they?
Yeah, I really want to read that one.
I want to show you a couple words because we want to look at suffixes. This word is actual. If I add an ly, Hallie, will you close your book, please? If I add an ly, what would the word be? You can say it. Actually. And I have to double my L's.
There's one L there and there's a L there.
Exactly. Here's another one. What's this word? Sudden. And I add an ly and it's
Suddenly.
Suddenly. Okay, here's another one. See if you know this one.
Grumpy.
Grumpy. Now, I'm gonna add, this is gonna get tricky. I'm gonna add an ily.
Grumpy.
What happens to this here? This Y here, you think?
You take a Y and turns into an I. And adds L-Y. We learned that in second grade.
Grumpily. I have one more. This one's really hard. What's this word?
Pity.
Pity. Do you know what that means? Oh, poor you. Oh, you feel, you have sadness, you have pity. I'm gonna add E-O-U-S-L-Y.
Pilly.
And I'm gonna drop the Y.
Pilly.
Italy.
Pity.
Usly. Hideously.
Hideously. You got it,
It
Helen.
sounds like hideously.
It sounds like hideously. It does. Hideously. Hideously.
What?
Good point. Are there any? Piteously is a form of the word pity, so it means you feel sorry for somebody. And it's just from the way that you use it in a sentence. It's an adverb, because adverbs are usually have ly at the end. So he looked piteously at the boy, which would mean that he looked at him like he felt sorry for him, right? So if you're gonna make the word pity into an adverb, you would have to change it to piteously, which if we saw this word in a book, we'd go, but if we knew what this suffix was, we could figure out this root word, this base word, might be pity, and then we could figure it out.
Or if you know, like, hideously, then
Or if you know hideously,
And rhyme and thing.
you
And
could
see
try
if it starts with a P.
you could find that pattern. Exactly. So lots of different ways. Good job. We're done. Nice work. Oh, I'll take your books, and I promise after Christmas I will find an equally, get it? Equally fantastic book.
The Whipping Boy. You have to post it.
Yeah, I'll do it, honey.
Okay.
All right. You guys are going back.